Yo, yo, yo. Hello, magic makers. For those of you that don't know me, I am Roxanne Higgins, a Growth and Joy Alchemist. This is a part 3 video. It's been an interesting one. So I started with manifesting optimum health and did a belief coding session on myself. I'll link that first session here in the details in case you missed that. Basically I'd coded in some new beliefs. 2 didn't stick, but then it turned out afterwards they had done. In fact, it was just a case of letting the energy settle and integrate. But 2 things that came up for me in these self-facilitations, one was my body is in a state of confusion, and one was this thing around craving hibernation that just didn't, something about that just didn't feel right to me. So I used my subconscious and tested if I needed to work on either of those. Both were a yes. And at a subconscious level, I held that belief that my body is in a state of confusion. So then what I did was, well, which is the most important one to work on? Which is the main one that will clear the most? Because sometimes that has a ripple effect and you can clear 2 or 3 or more things at once. So by working on the most dominant one that will clear the most, it's obviously, it's for the better. You're going to get more done at once. So the one that was the most important one to clear the most was around craving hibernation. So I went there. Interesting, because I was a bit like, I couldn't quite untangle it. So I had a little coaching session with Rox, and was like, oh, okay. It kind of got deeper and deeper, and I'm like, yeah, okay, it's making sense now. So the reason that craving hibernation felt like a discomfort to me was that I was worrying that would manifest as illness, because if I'm ill, then I'm allowed to rest and stay in bed and sleep loads, aren't I? It's needed. And it's actually happened before. I actually enjoyed having COVID. It meant that I could nap, read in bed, and not do a lot every day. So, there's part of me that does just want to rest and not do, sort of disconnect from the world and rest and hibernate. There was something else occurred to me then about it. It's responsibility. So if you're ill, you can let go of all responsibilities, can't you? So yeah, the worry there was that it would manifest as illness. It's basically after I was ill last year, I never ever want to experience that again. It was scary. This is what I'm talking to you as I self-coached, should we say, because I asked myself questions and wrote down the answers. So yeah, I was scared that I might die or that I might not ever get back to full health. Which led me to worry when I'm tired. But then I don't allow myself to rest, as I'm viewing that as a bad thing. If I'm that tired that I'm needing to stop and slow down, is there something wrong with me, kind of thing? So I try and ignore it and push through, but probably don't really get anything much done. But it also makes me want to avoid things. So then I ask myself, well, avoid things like what? Jobs that I haven't completed in my business. It makes me want to avoid finishing things off. I could basically come up with a whole list of things that I haven't completed. And then I asked myself, why do you think this is? And I'm scared to commit. Or I was scared to commit. Obviously I've been through the process now. So yeah, I was scared to commit. And the reason for that was in case I get ill again and I have to let people down. If I don't commit, I'm not letting anyone down, am I? If I commit and I get ill, and I might have to let people down. Like, okay. And then what came up for me was that I guess I'm not fully trusting my future self. Because if I did, then I wouldn't have these feelings, thoughts and doubts, would I? So the way that made me feel was weak, incapable, like there's something wrong with me, and kind of pressured. I felt this pressure. Like, it felt like I could feel it physically in my shoulders. And it was like the weight of responsibility. Quite similar to what came up in that initial first session. So then I sort of took myself down the path of what do I want to feel instead. And I want to feel strong, energized, motivated, but able to allow a balanced amount of rest without fearing it. So, because we've got to rest, me not resting could lead to burnout and making myself ill, can't it? But not allowing myself to rest fully or enough. Sleep, I get plenty of sleep, but just chill time, no, doesn't happen. Or not as much as it should. Because I've got it in my head that I only do that if I'm ill. And I could make myself ill not doing it, couldn't I? What? Yeah. So that would be what I'd want to feel, balance around it. And the new action is a balance between rest and productivity. Clear lines between the two. You know, one part of your day stops and then the next starts. They don't mix, sort of thing. So the dream outcome would be to get the work done earlier in the day or the evening, and then have some set downtime. And the purpose of that is I'd have a good work-rest balance, be more productive, and then in the long run, I'd feel more fully committed to both myself and my business. Oh, okay, it's making more sense now. So the new beliefs I coded in around that are, I always have a really good work-rest balance. I'm always strong, energized, motivated and productive. I am hugely committed to both myself and my business. I always have clear boundaries around work and rest. I'm more than capable. I fully embrace my uniqueness and freedom. I'm more than trusting of my future self. My health is the best it's ever been. I always deliver on my commitments in a timely manner. So can you see those new beliefs completely counteract everything that come up for me in that sort of self-coaching session. And then with belief coding, we work with a memory. Now this is where it gets interesting, and I hope I'm right in my intuitive thoughts about this. So my daughter stepped into a new phase this week, and she's had PTSD, but the symptoms have become fewer and fewer, and she's got some amazing tools and strategies for when she needs them. Now, the way this presents itself, and it did this on her first day at college, is it's a certain person's voice in her head that tells her how crap she is, basically, that she's not good enough, that she's ugly, that she's useless, that she's not worthy, that all the negative things you can think of. And the fact this come up again yesterday for her on her first day of college made me think, as much as she's had therapy, she won't work with me in this capacity, which I get as well. I'm probably too close. Where was I going with that? The exact memory for me to heal it came up for me, basically. And I was like, oh, okay. So I went there in my head as I was going off to sleep. So that this is separate to my session. And so what had happened, Psycho X was saying nasty things on repeat. She was asleep, but I also felt that she was probably pretending. So yeah, just a really long story. And I was just trying to pacify the situation and quiet him. What I really wanted to do was lose my shit and say, and stick up for her. But that would have escalated into definitely waking her up. Now, the reason I'm telling you this, in my mind last night as I was drifting off to sleep, I shouted louder all the positive things. So my intention being that won't happen to her again. But if it does happen to her again, she's going to hear my voice saying, you're loved, you're capable, you're beautiful, you're gorgeous, you're amazing, you're fun, you're brave, you're strong, you're confident. She's going to hear all those things with that energy in it. Or completely not have the experience, whichever. So, but weirdly, the memory that I had to work on today was exactly the same one. I thought, okay, maybe that's because I'd not gone completely through the process when I was drifting off to sleep. So maybe if I do this now, it'll obviously help me and I can heal and code in these new beliefs, but it could have that knock-on ripple effect too. So what we do with the memory that comes up in belief coding is to change it in the quantum. As long as you're not stopping what happened, or at least not completely, you're still dealing with the situation, but you're doing things that make it a lot more comfortable, should we say? So I worked with that same memory and had the thought to, so you can also you're in the quantum, so you can hit pause on something too, just to give you thinking space, etc. So I paused the argument or the ranting, whatever you want to call it. I paused the moment and I put ear defenders on her while she was still asleep. And then I had the thought, no, not ear defenders, headphones. So I put headphones on her with all those loving words going in. You're amazing, you're beautiful, you're fun, you're kind, you're generous, you're capable, you're confident. So yeah, I thought, oh, maybe I was prepping myself last night for this, because I kind of evolved on it a bit, which was great. So completely healed that memory. Interestingly, what that version of me wanted was to just go to sleep and catch a break. Once I knew she was safe and she was happy and wasn't basically being traumatized, that version of me just wanted to go to sleep and to get away, to escape. So, and rather than actually escaping in that moment and avoiding the scenario, the way around that was I showed to that version of me that actually, yes, that's what you did. Don't worry, it's coming. Do you know what I mean? You do get to that point, you do that. So you kind of open up a portal to the future and show them what's going on, which, yeah, really made that version of me feel 10 out of 10 amazing. And then we coded in those new beliefs for the both of us, which they all coded in this time, no problems there. So I'll let you know really how that develops, because I can't really test it with my daughter as such, but for me, the way I test if this has worked is get these jobs done in a timely manner, but also cut off at a sensible time at night. Do you know what I mean? I kind of cut off to rest when it's time to when it's time to sleep, but it'd be good to rest before that, wouldn't it? So yeah, that would be how I would now test that this session has worked, by getting these things finished and having those clear boundaries between work and rest. And other things might come up that I might realise that, yeah, I've done that because I fully trust my future self now, which is always fascinating. Or I might see that actually, yeah, I feel really good health-wise, or just that feeling of craving hibernation. That, be interesting to see whether that goes or not. So yeah, a bit of a long-winded one. But can you see that I had to do a lot of I'll say digging to get to the whys, the issues, and then for it to then stem back from that situation, what, 5 years ago? It must have been longer than that, 6 maybe. We've been gone from the situation 5 years, so yeah, longer than that. Probably, yeah, 6 maybe, but fascinating. Always blows my brain. So if you want to learn more about belief coding, I will put the details here in the details section. And I also have a free offer running at the moment, the Resistance Reset. If you've not tried it, it's good. It's an insight into why you're not doing the thing. This is obviously a much deeper way of doing it, but sometimes when you just have that, oh, that's why moment, it can be enough to clear it, and you can then do the thing that you've been avoiding. And it's usually something you want. So you say you want something, but you don't do anything about it, when the steps are sometimes just clear and simple. So yeah, I'll put those details in the comments as well. Right, that's all from me. Bye for now.